Roll call.
Ann Torrey,
Here.
Raymond Mass,
Here.
Eileen Hogan,
Here.
Danny Earl,
Here.
Sharon Lee.
Here.
Vincent Light,
Here.
Paul Cagnon,
Here.
Anna Cruz,
Here.
Amanda Doremus. Absent Eugene Hopkins.
Here.
Chris Havens.
Here. Adequate notice of this meeting has been posted in Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk and mailed to the Asbury Park Press at 2 times and Star Ledger. This meeting is being tape recorded. In the event the applicant uses services of the court reporter to transcribe tapes. The board requires a copy of the transcript. We will break it at 8 p.m. for deliberations. Testimony heard thus far in the conference room on the first floor. Public is invited to attend. However, discussions between board members and the public is not permitted at that time. No new cases will be heard after 9 p.m. The Red Bank Zoning Board of Adjustment has maintained a policy cutoff hour of 9:30 p.m. for its hearings. The applicant I heard this evening will be carried over to the next scheduled meeting. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, aspirationally, it's a good thing. Don't see any non-agenda items on here, so we have some administrative matters. We have a meeting minutes for January 18th.
Ann Torrey,
We need a motion.
a motion, sorry.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Ann Torrey.
Yes.
Raymond Mass.
Yes.
Eileen Hogan.
I recused.
She can't vote on the minutes.
Yeah, you go.
I recused. I left.
She's here for half and
Oh, okay, then yes. That's what I heard.
Kevin, what do you, Eileen recused herself from the application, but she was here for the,
I would just recuse yourself from.
Okay.
Okay. Ben Earl,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Vincent Light,
I wasn't here for that.
last meeting.
Oh, I was here for that. I thought this was the 18th.
of January, last
Oh,
meeting. You were here.
I was here.
This meeting.
yes. that-
Anna Cruz.
application.
Yes. And Chris Havens.
Yes.
I have recused myself there as well.
So that's fine, quite
Yeah.
easy, yeah.
All good, yeah. Okay, next we have a resolution of approval for 28 South Street.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that was the approval to for the construction of a detached garage at the site. And the conditions of approval included compliance with the Shawna's review memorandum and a couple conditions. So confirmation that there's no further expansion or intensification of that structure. Absent further formal approval of the zoning board, the garage is not to be utilized as commercial purposes. The garage is not to be rented or leased or utilized by anyone other than the occupants of the three-family home. Oh, you know what, and I have that repeated again. And that they perpetually replace landscaping at the site. Completion of the project, there's only one garage. There should be no additional charge to the tenants beyond rent, to occupy or to utilize the garage. And the internal storage areas, or actually the garage is going to be compartmentalized. We went back and forth on that into the three sections so as to minimize the possibility of any tension between the tenants. And we also have said that they are going to attempt to utilize the existing footings and foundation if that's possible. If not, if they can't, the existing footings and foundation cannot support the load, they're going to use new footings and a new foundation. In such event, as we said, there's no obligation for them to come back unless New Jersey law provides to the contrary, or doing so creates the need for a new variance, or doing so exacerbates or intensifies or expands any previously granted variance, or other good cause exists. And that's fancy language for if Shawna doesn't think it's the right thing to do, they don't do that. and they review the load capacity with we encourage them to review the load capacity to make sure it can support the proposal. And then if the applicant chooses in the future to repave the existing driveway, they submit a development permit to Shauna and they comply with what Shauna says or lawfully appeal Shauna's decision. The garage is not to be used as living space or habitable space, and they sign a deed restriction that we get recorded in the office of the county clerk. And no water service, sewer service, or plumbing service to that garage. And garages are a little intense, which is why we had so many conditions. And what we can do is we can adopt that subject to just, there's 2 or 3 repetitive things in there that I can knock out. So if that's acceptable to the board, Mr. Chairman, we can adopt that.
Okay, somebody want to move to,
I'll move to accept.
Second. Whoever.
Ann Torrey,
Yes.
Raymond Mass,
yes,
Van Euro,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Vincent White,
Yes.
Yeah.
Anna Cruz,
Yes.
and Chris Haynes.
yes. Okay, we have another administrative issue with 120 Monmouth Street.
Sure, and Shauna, I know we had previously approved that, and there was a request to make some administrative changes. Can you just, for the record, say what those administrative changes are? We can bring the witness up, and then we can, if it's acceptable to the board, we can administratively approve those very minor changes.
Let's have Michael Netta just come forward and just have it on the record.
All right, so Mr. Netta, even though this is informal part of it, why don't you, we'll swear you in. If you could just state your name and business address, please.
Michael Netto, 11 Dunbar Road, Suite 210, Springfield, New Jersey.
All right, and just for the record, do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge to help you God? Okay, and then just for the record, your affiliation with the 120 Monmouth Street application is?
The developer.
Okay. So why don't you just briefly explain to the board and or the public what your proposed amendments are?
Sure. The proposed amendments to the approval in 2021 and the subsequent administrative approval in 2022 that we're proposing at the current time is to change the color of the exterior facade of the building to a more different shades of gray, so light and dark gray shade. There's no new additional variances being created with this request. There was no other additional variances created in the other administrative process. In fact, we made some of the granted variances a little less intense to the process.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, there's a request here to administratively change, and obviously we don't do administrative changes too regularly because you want, or unless it's formally effectuated. So if there's a request and it's minor and it's not significant and it's not changing dramatically changing the way the proposal looks, and it's not creating any new variances or it's not exacerbating any previously granted variances, if the board so chooses, and there's no obligation, you can administratively modify the approval if that's your pleasure.
So we need to make a motion and to approve.
Sure. If it's acceptable, you could make a modification to have the plans amended as the witness just testified. And Shauna, do we need a resolution, or do we just authorize you to write a letter to the board for the file so that we are all on board of what the approval and what the modifications have been?
Right, yes, I will document it and put it in the file for this application so that
Okay.
it's on the record. And the minutes will reflect this also.
Very good. Yes, if that's the pleasure of the board.
Do we need to make a motion? or-
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll make some motion to.
All seconds. Ann Torrey,
Yes.
Raymond Mass.
Yes,
Eileen Hogan,
Yes.
Van Euro,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Vincent Light,
Yes.
and Paul Gagnon.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
We have one other administrative thing we need to deal with, and that's the
Ray Rapp.
Ray Rapp.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll take the lead on this, and Mr. McKenna is the attorney of record on this. This is Ray Rapp Realty, and you'll recall that we amended the approval in June. I'm sorry, it was an April meeting, and the resolution was the following month or in June. And basically, one of the conditions of the most recent approval was that a construction permit was to have been issued by December 31st, 2023. Several days ago, Mr. McKenna, on behalf of the applicant, requested a retroactive extension of that timeframe. There's no obligation that we grant that. If the board is so inclined to do that, we should make a motion to extend, and we should retroactively effective, and we should I would submit a new time frame in there. And then if that's the pleasure of the board, we can do a motion and a resolution all in all. But I'll handle that if the board is inclined to grant the extension and the time frame for the same.
Well, I make a motion to extend the time frame to July 1st.
I'll second it.
Okay, and I guess, Shauna, should I do the motion and then I'll do the resolution? That makes sense, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it would be subject to all conditions of the prior approval.
And just since we have Mr. McKenna here, do you think that's reasonable?
Yes, it is. I mean, well, it's life first.
Me too.
We can do a vote and then I'll do the resolution.
And Tori,
Yes.
Raymond Mass,
Yes.
Eileen Hogan,
Yes.
Van Newton,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Vincent Light,
Yes.
Paul Gagnon.
Yes.
All right, so the resolution, just speed reading that would be, this Red Bank Zoning Board of Adjustment previously approved the application of Ray Rapp Realty Inc. and Azalea Gardens project to effectuate a number of improvements, which was at that point subdivision of the subject lots, construction of 14 townhouse units, construction of 2 detached standalone affordable housing units, creation of a common landscaped garden lot, and construction and installation of other various site improvements. And whereas the board recently approved an amendment to that plan, and that amendment included elimination of 2 of the townhouse units, reducing it from 16 to 14. And that amendment also increased the width of each townhouse unit from 14 feet to 16 feet, which would not change the overall building footprint. And we also, the change that was also approved was changing the form of ownership for the proposed lots from a townhouse association to a fee simple. And whereas a result of the condition of that amended approval, construction permits were to have been issued on or before December 31st, 2023. Whereas construction permits have not yet been issued, whereas on or about January 30th, 2024, the applicant's attorney formally requested a retroactive extension of the aforesaid timeframe. Whereas the applicant's representatives advised that subsequent to the amended approval, there have been substantive developments associated with the progress of the development. And whereas some of the good faith forward progress associated with the matter included, there's been the formality of a new partnership into the arrangement who has assumed the obligation to spearhead the project. There's been significant advancement of the resolution compliance issues. There's been, Shauna, submission of a landscaping plan, fees have been paid, submission of the association, revised association documents associated with the initial board approval, and submission of cross-access easements as required during the initial approval. And Shauna, I believe you said that Borough Council recently approved the developers agreement.
Right.
And whereas the board, zoning board is of the opinion that the extreme delay associated with the now abandoned site is not beneficial for the property, the neighborhood, or the community at large. And whereas immediate construction of that project or near immediate construction of that project in accordance with the approved plans will be beneficial. And whereas good cause having been shown, the zoning board hereby retroactively extends the timeframe for the securing of the construction permit from December 31st, 2023 to July 1st, 2024. And just for record-keeping purposes, the zoning board can make no further representations or guarantees with regard to any future extension requests, and that this extension, retroactive extension, is subject to all terms and conditions of the prior approval unless specifically obviated herein. Mr. Chairman, if that's acceptable, we could adopt that resolution and I will have that typed up tomorrow.
Okay, so I want to make a motion to approve that resolutions for Mr. Kennedy's.
I'll approve it.
Second.
Dan Torrey,
Yes.
Raymond Mass.
Yes.
Eileen Hogan,
Yes.
Ben Euro,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Vincent White,
Yes.
Paul Gagnon.
Yes.
Okay, move on to new business, 64 North Bridge Avenue.
All right, Mr. Chairman, as the applicant team gets ready to speak, let's just do a couple of preliminary procedural things. Is there anyone here who had any questions or comments or concerns regarding the sufficiency of the notice they received? All right, we don't see any. And for the record, the zoning office and I reviewed the notice and found everything to be in order. So it'd be my respectful opinion that we have jurisdiction to proceed tonight. And we will mark in to record what we as a board have before us. So the, let's see, we're gonna mark the application as A1, the intent to proceed. And that's dated November 15, 2022 as A2. And we're gonna mark as A3, Shauna Ebanks review memorandum dated October 11th, 2023. And we have as A4, architectural plans and sign details prepared by Jeremiah Reagan. And I think dated November 15th, 2023, consisting of 2 sheets. And Shauna, for record-keeping purposes, let's swear you in. Shauna Ebanks, you are the borough, you're a professional planner and the borough's director of community development. Do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide, to the extent you provide any, will be the truth, to the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, so good evening, Mr. McKenna, and after you enter your appearance, if you wouldn't mind, and we could have your client do it just for the record, state who the principals of LHRB LLC are and who the owner is, just so we can do an internal conflict check. Good evening.
Sure, good evening. Edward McKenna on behalf of the applicant and Mr. Valerio. Mr. Valerio, are you the owner of this? Yes. LLC?
Yeah, we'll just swear you in for a second. Mr. Valerio, if you could just state your name and business address, please, or home address.
Kevin Valerio, 64 North Bridge Avenue, Red Bank is business.
Okay. Do you swear, if you could just raise your right hand, do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the best of your knowledge, to help you God? Thank you. All right, sorry to interfere with you, Mr. McKenna.
No, not at all. So, Mr. Valerio, you're the owner of this particular enterprise, is that correct?
Yes.
And actually, you've been the owner.
Mr. McKenna.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. You've been out for a while.
And you've been the owner of this enterprise for 28 years.
Yes, 20 years.
Kevin, is that sufficient for the conflict check?
Yes, and any other partners that are members of the company? Okay, so hearing the name Kevin Valero and LHRB LLC, does that ring any conflicts or raise any conflicts? Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, first of all, I want to thank you profusely for extending me the courtesy of perhaps appearing via your telephone. I've been out of the hospital for 2 weeks now, and I did not think that I could physically be here. But I'm really glad to be here and see everybody, to be honest with you. And I was happy to truck in here this evening. So I just want to thank you once again for your courtesy. I'd like to just offer a brief explanation. Mr. Valerio's here as well as the architect. But I don't know if there's any complexity to the application. I'll explain to you what I mean. At first blush, there were two variances that were going to be necessary. The first was because the sign in question was going to be elevated above 20 feet in height. And any signage in this particular area would have required a variance to be over 20 feet. What we did do, however, was in order to eliminate the variance, we asked the architect, Mr. Reagan, to redesign it so that in fact we would be under 20 feet. And we sent in an amended plan and we are under 20 feet, so we've eliminated the variance.
And Shauna, do we need to mark that amended plan into evidence?
I believe that's the one that,
That's one, okay, got it.
it was revised October 2nd, correct?
So, yes.
Okay.
So what we're left with is a variance for the neon lighting. And what I'd like to explain to the board is, Kevin, if you wouldn't mind distributing these, I thought it would be beneficial for the board to see the current lighting as well as the proposed new lighting.
So we'll mark this as A5, and what is A5?
It's a photograph of the existing lighting, Kevin, as well as a rendering of what the new lighting will look. I only had 7 copies. I thought I had more.
Problem.
Oh, where's that? Yeah, I'll keep this one because I need to put it.
So, by way of information, the lighthouse is part of an organization known as Strollos. So every lighthouse is a part of a Strollo franchise, so to speak. So Strollo decided that they wanted to have uniform signage for all of their lighthouse facilities. And the second page of what you see there is exactly what they are requiring of all of the lighthouse franchises. So in our case, we redesigned our signage. And that's what the new sign will look like. Now, the purpose of the variance is that it's gonna have neon lighting. If you notice on the first page, the lighthouse has had neon lighting for 28 years. So it's not unusual for them to continue with that. In fact, the sign that you see on the second page is smaller in dimension than the existing sign. And you can see that the neon lighting is almost like tracing the facility. So it's the standard lighting required by the Strollos. And we want to comply with it to continue our business there for another 28 years of. So we got the design. And so the only request we're making of the board is to allow us to continue to have neon lighting on the site. That's the only variance that we're asking for. And we've had it for 28 years. And we just want to continue it. And it's actually less flaring than what was there. So we're hoping that the board would, and if any board members want to ask either Mr. Valerio or Mr. Reagan any questions, I mean, I have them up here, but I don't want to take up time unnecessarily. I mean, I'm giving you as detailed an explanation as possible. There's not much more involved.
Any questions from the board?
I just have a couple of questions. The lights aren't gonna flash or change colors in any way?
Not at all.
Just stay the same color throughout? Yep. I have nothing.
I have a question. So the letters will be outlined. It won't just be just a strip as depicted on the ending.
Yeah, all the letters will be neon.
Okay, so it'll be like the one that you just showed
The
us.
original, yeah.
Questions from, any questions from the public? Any
Chairman,
comment?
can I just ask one, just for the record, is the neon lights turned off each night when your operation stops functioning?
Yeah, and, those are June, July, August, every month, every other month is 10 o'clock. And I'm closed for 4 months out of the year. So there's no light for 4 months. So peak season, 11 PM, the other months, 10 PM.
Okay, and then during the winter season,
Everything's off.
got it. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
I just stole his question, sorry.
And any comments from the board? Okay, close that. Any comments from the public? Okay, we'll close that. Anybody want to make a motion to approve or deny this application?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, and what I respectfully suggest it would be subject to Shauna's review memorandum, subject to all the promises and commitments and representations that the development team made tonight. And let me just see if there's any other conditions that we'll have the conditions that Mr. Valerio just testified to regarding the shining of the lights that they're off during the off season and off when the store is not open. And Shauna, any reason in the world, and to Mr. Cagno's point, there's not going to be any flashing, blinking signs. Shauna, any reason this has to go to the traffic safety division or anything like that? Nope. Okay, and I think we usually have Mr. McKenna, just a standard provision that the sign will not interfere with any existing or required site triangle easement, and which I'm sure it will not. So if those are those conditions acceptable to the motioner? Okay, and the seconder?
Yes.
Okay,
Roll call.
Ann Torrey,
Yes.
Urban Mess,
Yes.
Eileen Hogan,
Yes.
Ben Euro,
Yes.
Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Vincent White,
Yes.
Paul Cagnon,
Yes.
and Anna Cruz.
Yes.
Thank you. Good luck.
Mr.
Thank you very
Chair,
much.
just say one last thing on this. We may not have I talked to Shauna, we may not have a meeting at the next meeting. That's not official yet. But there's nothing on the agenda, and if the applicant is looking to install the sign, if we don't have a resolution, Shauna, that could delay him and prevent permits from being issued, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so Mr. Chairman, if the board wants, and there's no requirement, if the board wants, I can speed read a resolution into the record so as to eliminate the problem with no future meeting.
Short way.
That's hard. All right, so basically, the resolution is going to testify, I'm going to reiterate what was marked into the record as evidence, what they're applying for, and the nature of Mr. Valerio's testimony and the nature of Mr. McKenna's arguments. And we're going to say currently there is an existing sign located on the front of the building at the site. The applicant is in the process of, per the plans and testimony, replacing the existing roof, and in the course of the same, the existing sign will need to be replaced. Likewise, as a franchisee, Strollo's organization is requiring uniform sign changes, and the applicant needs to comply with same. We certainly understand that as a board. We're also going to say that the application as initially submitted required or likely required variance for placing a sign outside of the sign area. However, the plans have been revised so as to portray and confirm that no such variance is needed. We're also going to say that the new sign approved herein, even though it will basically be located in the same general location as the existing sign, which is going to be replaced, and the replacement sign will be the same general size as the existing sign. In fact, Mr. McKenna, you said that the replacement sign will be slightly smaller. As indicated, the application as presented requires a variance for having a sign which has neon lighting, which is not permitted. And the applicant here is proposing a sign which has elements of neon sign. And the board notes that the existing sign at the site currently has a neon element as well. The board notes that the neon element of the replacement sign will be generally the same as the neon element associated with the currently existing sign. The replacement sign approved herein, let's see, will not be much brighter than the current sign that exists. The board notes that the existing sign is at the front of the building, and right now it reads Lighthouse Italian Ice, and the new sign is going to read Lighthouse Strollo's Homemade Italian Ice. With the application, the new sign approved herein will not be much different from what has existed at the site for 28 years.